Wow, as Darcy would say, what a twist. Wanda has gone full villain, which is a bit of a departure from the comics. Kind of. I mean, maybe it's because, I have to say, in the original stories this is based on, Avengers Disassembled and House of M, Wanda was always a secondary character, which is kind of sad that she wasn't the star of her own story. What? Darcy would also have a lot to say about that. So we never really kind of explored what was going on with her. But to see her here, where it's all Wanda, as Monica actually says quite cinematically as well at the end of the episode, Wanda is not only doing this, but she's fully aware that she's doing it. It's a choice. Maybe because she's crazy. And on that note, by the way, this now calls into question everything that Wanda's ever done. Because this, of course, when we first met her, this reminds me when we first met her, I'm very tired. These episodes drop at 3 a.m. East Coast time. But I'm hopped up on Wanda awesomeness, WandaVision awesomeness. But anyway, when we first met Wanda at the end credits of Winter Soldier, she was nuts, which was awesome. And then that seemed to go away. But did it? Like when she caused that problem. Like, is Feige that smart? I won't believe it if he is. That's incredible. Like when she caused that explosion and made that mistake that caused civil war, right? Was that because of this? It's really fascinating to think about. So not only is Wanda confirmed to be behind this, but Neighborhood of M is confirmed, baby. That's what I've been calling it. Now it's official. Neighborhood of M. I love it. And then also, the biggest reveal of the episode. We're going to go through this chronologically, but up front, we got to talk about the fact that she's playing house with Vision's animated corpse. Oh my God, I love it so much! And by the way, there's no stone here. We were wondering, is there a stone in play? Is everyone trying to get their hands on the stone in his head? But no, there's just a crater. His head's still kind of falling apart. I love it! And also the MCU with this choice, and she's like she's playing house with Vision's corpse in every sense of the word. Creepy, which I think it's so great. It reminds me of gothic romance stories, which I am a huge fan of. It also reminds me a lot of Batman, some of the darkest, scariest stories. This is almost like, Return of the Joker from Batman Beyond, that movie, what was revealed that happened to Robin. It's like that level, and I love to see it in the MCU. So I'm changing the style of my breakdowns because I figured out how to get screen grabs of these episodes. So I'm going to go through it chronologically and share my thoughts and theories throughout. I will also say right before we get started that this episode was also still ridiculously too short. And also I think that there are some actors here, the actors are not at the same level. Some actors are like super TV, and some actors are more cinematic. I think you know who we're talking about here. And it's not even just divided between Wanda's world, Neighborhood of M, and the real world, because Teyonah Parris is also a very good actress. So when she's interacting with her co-workers, it doesn't always quite work, and that's like Marvel's trying to evolve, but old jokey Marvel is still fighting to be alive in here. We're going to kill it if we can. Which one do you prefer? I like the darker, more cinematic stuff. And then I also feel the show's falling a bit behind us in terms of the mystery. Like when Jimmy Woo is like, why hexagons? I'm like, keep up, Jimmy. That was a question from like 3 episodes ago. Well, you want to give us some new helpful information? Okay, here we go. Share your own thoughts down below as we discuss this. So we open with a very powerful sequence, and I thought this was really well done because you weren't quite sure at first what was happening because Monica, of course, had just been ejected from Neighborhood of M at the end of the last episode. So here you're like, is Wanda doing this to her? Is this magic? But then as it happens, you realize that she's blipping back. And that was so powerful to me. Maybe it was because it was 3 a.m, but I was moved. She blipped in her sleep, so she never had any idea that happened, which I thought was like, that never even occurred to me. I thought that was really fascinating. And to have her come back in a hospital where other people were also blipping back into existence all around her. And I love that the doctor was like, I can't help you. We're over capacity with all these people coming back. And of course, now it reminds you of the pandemic that's going on about hospitals reaching capacity. And so I just thought that was so well done. And then the horrifying reveal that she thought her mother was doing better, but in the 5 years Monica's been blipped, her mother, Maria Rambeau, the cancer returned and her mother died. That's so sad. 2 years into the blip. Wow. And that she had to hear that way. And she to go from thinking everything had turned around to she lost her mom and didn't get to say goodbye. I feel it right now. So it's just good writing. It's just really well done. And then her mother's legacy, though, still lives. So we go to SWORD headquarters, which, as we can see here again, Sentient Weapon Observation Response Division, although still heavily alien-oriented, as we discover here, which also doesn't make sense to me. So we'll see. But here are the headquarters. It looks like it's either in Florida, where they have a lot of space stuff. You see all those launch pads? They send a lot of people to space. They've got like tons of them around there. That's what all those things are. To go to, I guess, at headquarters where we last saw Nick Fury. For the end sequence and the end credit sequence in Far From Home, Spider-Man Far From Home. But could also be Louisiana. That's Florida adjacent, and that's of course where Maria Rambeau was located last we saw her in Captain Marvel 2, and where Monica grew up. And she also apparently grew up at SWORD. You know, it seems to me that perhaps Maria Rambeau started SWORD, maybe also with Nick Fury, after the events of Captain Marvel 2, right? They're like, oh, there are aliens amongst us. We better start some sort of organization to deal with that. So, and I love the idea that Peggy Carter built S.H.I.E.L.D. and Maria Rambeau built SWORD. Girl power. I think that's fabulous. Sure, we miss both of them doing it. We miss both of those accomplishments, but still. And, you know, Monica always wanted to be an astronaut, and now she's become a super astronaut. Oh, I love it, but she's grounded, but we'll get to that in a moment. So we see the SWORD lobby, which looks like an airport terminal. I agree with you. It looks fake. It looks super digital to me. Like usually with these backgrounds, I'm like, oh, that's a real place. But here I'm like, that's not a real place. Or even all those extras real. I feel like I'm in one of Wanda's, fake worlds. Maybe I am. No, I don't think. I think that's too crazy. You never know with this show. I do feel I lost a little faith in this show's ability to craft the romance. Sorry, I told you I'm tired. The romance is doing great on this show. To craft the mystery. I feel like the mystery, I'm not 100% feeling that they're in control. I don't think Wanda's in control either, but I don't totally trust the architects of this show anymore. So I hope that they pull it all together. But I feel this episode, they lost their footing a little bit. But anyway, here is the lobby. It looks very similar to the S.H.I.E.L.D. lobby as we've seen before. And then as she's walking in, you know, I like that. Look, they commissioned some very nice artwork. And as she's walking in, you see on the TV screens, everyone's talking about the blip. The blip brings back loved ones. Celebrations continue. And then it says right there, the Pope is going to speak. Oh, I love it. And I can't believe Spectrum got that kind of product placement. Why'd they be playing New York One News in wherever, you know, Louisiana or Florida? Some Louisiana or Florida TV station got gypped. All right. So we move on here. And then I love that her badge doesn't work. She's been gone for 5 years. It reminds me of that funny gif of that athlete trying to get into the training facility. Will this join it? We are always looking for new gifs. And when she's in the lobby, she, of course, talks, you know, she passes her. I think that could have said, I don't know, director, founder of SWORD. I feel that little tableau is a little light on information and legacy, considering everything that she's accomplished. And there are a lot of other little plaques up there where we don't know exactly what, unless it's top secret that her mother founded it. But still, also, I would have preferred a little bit of an older picture of Lashana Lynch. But anyway, I do feel bad, you know, somewhere, Haley Atwell and Lashana Lynch are together. But they've gone on to great projects, Mission Impossible and Bond. So good for them. Now, I thought maybe there might be something interesting here on this directory, but there's not. There's not even a cafeteria or a gift shop. What kind of a facility is this? So they're walking. And we're getting a little update on what's happening here. So he's acting director, Tyler Hayward, new character to Marvel, not in the comics anywhere. But acting director means he's not officially promoted. So that means that Monica could still boot him out of there and get that job, which maybe she will by the end of the episode. He better watch his back. I'd be angling for that job. It's her legacy, damn it. And he's talking about that they now focus after the blip and some problems with sending people into space. They're just focusing on robotics, nanotech, and AI. What are they competing with Stark Industries, right? So basically, sentient weapons. Is that what they mean by sentient weapons? So that means they'd be interested in Vision. Did Wanda steal Vision from this facility? But you know, it doesn't have, where do aliens and superpowered beings come in here? Now, Monica corrects him and says, I mentioned you didn't say creation. Now, I at first thought that maybe they'd created Monica and given her powers. Maybe that means they're building a lot. She means they're building a lot of tech instead of just observing and reporting on it. Isn't that just like all government organizations? So shady. But I think so. I don't think she has her powers. I think after the end of this episode where she got attacked, she would have used them by now. Even though she didn't have her memory, I think it would have been instinctual. So I think she'll probably get her powers maybe by the end of this series, which is exciting. And so he says, space is full of threats, where they seem to still be focused on aliens. And she says, also allies, because of course she grew up with them now. And she has this cool necklace, which to me, everyone's got them. Everyone's jewelry means something. This of course later turns into a sword necklace that when she goes into Wanda's neighborhood of M. But that to me doesn't look like a sword logo. It looks more like the photon symbol for her mother, which is very nice, very sweet. All right, then they have the meeting in the office, and he's like, "You got to go help the FBI. I know it's a crap gig, Monica, but you're grounded. Your mom said anybody who blipped back would have to be grounded for a while we kept an eye on them. And so even from beyond the grave, her mom's telling her what to do." And then he gives her this file, and I liked that behind him. At first, I thought it was like a visual of Jarvis or Ultron's AI, because like they study AI. But I think it's actually a star system, which is less cool. But I like it if it would have been a map of artificial intelligence, because that's what they do there. So there we cut to New Jersey, and the original comic takes place in New Jersey. So they're like, welcome to New Jersey. And then there's even an off-ramp for Westview, which is interesting, because as we're about to find out, Westview doesn't exist. So they're going, and then so she drives up, and you can see that unlike the idyllic town inside neighborhood of M, this is actually a crappy town. Now, they're saying it's not even an abandoned town. They're saying it never ever existed. There's an Eastview, but Westview. Now, was this Eastview and it's being renamed Westview? Maybe that's what it is, because I don't see why Wanda would bother she'd just be sitting in a field Indian style somewhere, right? So maybe this what used to be Eastview and it's been renamed Westview. See, again, my confidence in their mystery building is a little bit shaken because some of this stuff isn't set up well enough. I'm like, how can I solve a mystery if you're not outlining the clues effectively enough? So anyway, we find out that the whole reason that Jimmy Woo was looking into this, Agent Jimmy Woo, is that he had a witness in witness protection. Oh, is this important? Is that witness maybe Hydra related? Did Wanda go looking for that individual? And when she found him, they're calling him a him, something happened? Is it Mephisto? Who knows? Could she go to that person for revenge? Did she go to that person looking for an answer? But is that what drew Wanda to this location? Although, is there even a witness? Because Jimmy said when he checked into the witness people who knew the witness, so I don't know how good witness protection he was in, they were like, we never heard of him. Were they just playing along with witness protection? But so maybe that's a cry for help from inside neighborhood of M. Maybe someone called up and said, I'd like to be a witness. And they're like, okay. So that also is all very oddly set up. So they're like, send a drone in. And I gotta tell you, that's the ugliest, most low-tech looking drone I ever saw. Whoever designs drones over at Sword should be fired. It looks horrible. I mean, I think Wanda improved it, quite frankly. So it disappears, and they're like, what? And then Monica breaks Science 101, and she touches something. You're never supposed to touch anything. But then, of course, if these scientists didn't make stupid mistakes, we would never have a show. And sure enough, she gets sucked in, which advances the plot forward. So I thought it was funny that she got sucked in like that too. So then Darcy's introduced, and this is a cute intro, but at the same time, I got disappointed that we never saw these scientists again. I was like, oh, come on, use them again, or don't bother putting them in here, even though I did like the intro. But we're so short on time, don't waste any of our time. So she goes to the new Sword response base, which is set up outside this fake town, and they're sending in more drones, which Wanda never found, maybe because these drones were too attractive to be redone. And I like Darcy's interactions with people, even though I do feel that Kat Dennings' delivery is a little off. So I like that she's like, what are you seeing in there? And he's like, oh, that's classified. And I like that she pauses and she's like, you can't see anything? And I like it that she didn't do it in a jerky way. She wasn't like, so you can't see anything, I guess, huh? She just understood what that meant. So I thought that was great. And then she realizes that there's frequencies coming out of there, but some of them are a TV broadcast. So I thought that was very interesting. And so she's watching it, and we find out that she was the one watching the end. At the end of episode 1, she was the one watching, and she's like, "Hey, isn't Vision dead?" Which I don't. Some of you asked if Darcy was blipped. I don't believe she was. I just think she's like, I know some weird stuff has happened. Maybe that was also classified, and nobody told me that he came back. But I think also some of you pointed out that was to remind us that he didn't blip, that he's dead, and that really beautifully telegraphed the ending. That was great. And that's why she needs different TVs, because apparently she could only pick up the signal of the sitcom if she has a TV that's like the era that it's broadcasting from. And that's why there are different TVs in the posters. I don't know if that's necessary. I feel like this whole sitcom thing, I'm starting to question if it was a good creative choice, because it makes the show too meta and it takes me out of it a little bit. Like they're like, oh, this person has been cast as this character. Are we on the current episode? Oh, maybe they changed this helicopter for production design. Twins, what a twist. So, I mean, I have mixed feelings about that. Again, it takes me out of it. I did like, though, when he said, "Why did you colorize the helicopter?" And she's like, "I didn't." And you're like, woo! But then also, why aren't they paying attention to the commercials? The commercials are incredibly important. So, it makes you feel like they're behind. You're like, you're not doing as good a job as we are. Come on, guys. You're supposed to be FBI and SWORD. So then we have this thing where they send this guy in his hazmat suit, as we all suspected from the previews, down into the sewers, because never leave a man behind, to go get Monica. So he, sure enough, as we also saw from the previews, changes it from a hazmat to a beekeeper suit. Bees added, bees included. And then his rope gets turned into a jump rope from, looks like the 70s, not the 60s, and disconnects. And then he comes up through the sewer, and I love seeing this scene from his perspective, and I love seeing these shadowy figures at night. This also has a gothic romance look to it, of Wanda and Vision standing there, and I love seeing this wide shot, and you see that Vision is protecting his baby already, or as he does not know, babies. But I thought that was beautiful. So I thought that was great. And she says no, and I agree with you guys. It does sound like a different no, but I don't know why it would sound different. And I wonder, when she rewound, what happened to this guy? I guess he's just wandering around Westview somewhere. So they're watching the episodes, and so they're recording it. I think that stuff's all great. And then they're starting to get they're compiling information. Now here's Jimmy Woo's useless board of information again. He says scrolls, but why would it be scrolls? That makes no sense. I'm like, why are they first on your list, Jimmy? And then hexagons, and we do learn that the shape of the whole thing around it is a hexagon. It might just be a hexagon for her hex power, which is a bit of a letdown, because it's such an obvious aim clue, but it seems that it's just because of hexing. So I guess Wanda's her favorite color is red, and her favorite shapes are hexagons. That's kind of weird. So let's see here. And then he has his board, and you can see that these are they're not Hydra or S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. They're just New Jersey residents, I guess, who live in Eastview, but now Westview. And then, of course, as you guys already spotted from the preview that they dropped yesterday, there is no ID for Agnes, because she is a special person, which I'm sure we're going to find out soon. Dottie's not on here, but that's because they made it very clear that Dottie hadn't shown up yet in the episodes that they were covering. So we don't know exactly what's going on with Dottie. We have our own theories, but we can't confirm that she's like Agatha just yet. So then Monica, or Geraldine, shows up on the show as an extra. I did like when Darcy said she got upgraded to a speaking role, but again, I don't know, it also kind of takes me out of it. So they're watching. I think Jimmy Woo and Darcy are a nice team. I think they're good together. Some of you are already shipping them, you said. They do the radio trick, as we all suspected. But I thought it was interesting that suddenly Dottie seemed very afraid, which makes me question if maybe Dottie is an interesting player, or maybe if she is just locked in there as well. Dottie seemed genuinely scared. So I was like, wait a minute. And Jimmy Woo said, oh, she's just a regular person. Is that a misdirect? Is Jimmy Woo making an assumption that's wrong? It's crazy. Again, I'm telling you, that's why I said to you, I feel like the mystery lost its footing a little bit. Then I loved when Wanda in the show dropped the facade, and it was scary. It was very scary. Elizabeth Olsen killed here. And, and then all of a sudden, Jimmy Woo and Darcy are like, are we watching a snuff film? Oh my God, are we about to watch Monica get killed? And it jumps right to the credits. And they're like, quick, to the way we were recording this. So they go to their recording, and no, it just cuts from this menacing look of Wanda to credits, and they freak out, and then they're like, no, perimeter breach, and they rush out to see what's going on, but we go into the television to see what happened. And then it gets really good. All right, so we zoom in on Elizabeth Olsen looking fabulous. And so she's like, who are you? And Monica's like, please don't kill me. And I love that she starts to use her power. And she's like, I'm your neighbor. And Wanda says, you know about Ultron. You're not my neighbor and you're not my friend. But the fact that Wanda so casually mentions, she's not like, who's Ultron? What are you talking about? Like we thought. She totally knows who Ultron is. So the facade is dropped. And so suddenly Wanda realizes that this is someone who's trying to mess with this dream world, fantasy world that she's created for herself. And I love the way she uses her powers. She seems so much like a witch. It's super, super cool. And she seems very much like a villain. And then, I don't know how this didn't hurt Monica, but she sends Monica hurtling through the walls. I love that. It was such a great shot. And I love the POV shot of Wanda, Monica's POV of Wanda getting rid of her. And then you can see the opposite of how Monica is watching that. And that was it happened so fast, but it was extremely effective. Then we cut back to the room and you can see, what's with the giraffe theme? Is that because of Wakanda, where, Vision died? Because there are giraffes not only in the living room, but in the nursery that we saw when she kicked Monica out. So that's very interesting. So what does Wanda do? She's not like, oh, this is crazy, let me ask Vision for help. She cleans up her mess and gets rid of the evidence, like a true villain. So she closes the wall, and then here you can see she looks at her babies, and she's like, I don't want to lose this. And Vision runs back in, and she turns around, and she sees his corpse, because Monica has disturbed her illusion. And she's taken Wanda out of it a little bit, so she's reminded of what she's really interacting with. And boy, does that look great. I will never get over the surprise of seeing that. It was so cool. I just loved it. I would say it's up there with the reveal of Robin in Return of Joker, Batman Beyond. Like, wow. I mean, this will stick with people forever. I loved it. So she looks away in horror, and then she composes herself and looks up, and he's just fine. Oh, so creepy. And then she looks at him and he's like, honey, we don't have to stay here. We can go anywhere we want. And it's so touching and also scary when she says, no, we can't. And then she says, this is our home. And she says, don't worry, darling. I have everything under control. And he's like, and that's when they cut to Monica being like, it's Wanda. It's all Wanda. And that was so well done. And then you cut back and she's playing house with her dead boyfriend. And she's like, what do you want to watch on TV tonight, honey? And he turns around and he knows something's wrong. So he's just playing along at this point. Is his soul in there? Does a robot have a soul? What did she reanimate? If he's a corpse and she's reanimating him, how can he break free from that at all and have any of his own thoughts? It's very interesting, which again messes a little bit with the logic of the world that they're creating, the mystery. And then they sit down, and this is now suddenly a very different shot. And the aspect ratio, by the way, I love when the aspect ratio changes. They've made it so ominous. So it goes back and it puts them back. Wanda's putting them back in their box, the TV box. So that kind of works with the TV theme, that a TV is a confined space where everything's perfect. It has writers, it's fictional, and it's controlled by Wanda. Oh, it's so great. I wonder, because Vision knows he's going to probably start challenging her more in episodes going forward. So Wanda's world is going to start to unravel more, and she's not going to like it. And I wonder if Agnes, Mephisto, or Dottie, or maybe all three of them, remember there are three figures in Agnes's brooch, maybe they'll offer Wanda an alternative. Maybe they'll be like, hey, Wanda, we can help you. And then I also wonder if maybe, just like Kingpin in the recent animated Spider-Verse movie, will Wanda rip open the multiverse to try and find another version of Vision who's alive, or of her children who's alive? Will someone tell her about the multiverse, and that will be her solution? Also, some of you are betting that she'll say, instead of no more mutants, no more Avengers, and I like those odds. So that's episode 4 of WandaVision. What do you think of the show now that it's gone outside of WandaVision's bubble or box? I think it's both very light and very dark, which makes for a weird combo. But boy, do I like the dark stuff. I'm excited. I'm super excited. I think things are going to get dark, and I think they're going to get dark fast, just like they did here. So share your thoughts down below, subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.